Hey WordPress users! You've just installed WP Interactions. Before we begin, here's a tour of the key features and UI of the plugin. There are two types of interactions: element interactions and page interactions. Element interactions are triggered when a user interacts with elements on a web page. For example, when I click this button, it scrolls to a new section. On the other hand, page interactions are actions that occur when there is a change to the state of a page. For example, when this page loads, the text appears from the middle for an entrance animation effect. There are three ways to add interactions. First, the WP Interactions sidebar. You can view it by clicking the WP Interactions logo here. This is also where you will find all active interactions on the current page or post. Just navigate to the type of interaction you want to make and click the plus button to open the list of interaction options. For element interactions, you will need to select an element trigger. It can be a specific block, block name, CSS class, or CSS selector. Examples of element interactions are click, click toggle, mouse hover, and more. For page interactions, you won't need to select the trigger anymore since these are already triggered by the state of the page. Examples of page interactions are page load, exit page intent, while page is scrolling, and more. The second way of adding an interaction is from the Interactions menu on the top toolbar. Here, you can choose to create an element interaction, page interaction, or add an interaction you've previously made. Third, when you select the block, you will find the Add an Interaction button on the block toolbar. Using this method will automatically set this block as the interaction trigger. Now, select an interaction from the list. The interaction settings will open in the WP Interaction sidebar. This is where you will find the settings available for the interaction you're building. Let's give this interaction a name. Now the fun part begins, adding actions. Actions are a result or behavior that follows when a trigger occurs. To add an action, click the plus button in the action timeline and add an action from a list of options. However, if you selected the wrong action or you change your mind, you can click the Change Action button next to the action name and select a new action. The first controls you will find are the action properties. So whether you're adding a replace text, CSS rule, or rotate action, this is where you can find the settings to adjust them. Now you need to select the target. A target is where the action will be applied. This can be the interaction trigger, a specific block, block name, CSS class, or CSS selector. When you select block, click the target button, select the block you want the action to be applied to, then click the Select Block button. Next are the settings that control the timing of the action. Here, we have the starting time, duration, and easing controls. You can also copy and paste actions in the action timeline. To do that, just select the action, hit Ctrl or Command C to copy, and Ctrl or Command V to paste. Now let's add more actions for a more eye-catching effect. In the action timeline, you will see numbers beside each action. This represents the starting time. We can adjust that here. Just click on the number beside your action and type the value there. Or, you can also drag each action to adjust its position in the timeline. Below the action timeline, you will see some additional timeline options. For example, turning on the once only toggle will only trigger this interaction once. We're done with this interaction. Let's hit save and preview this on the front end. That looks great! We just created a simple hover interaction and learned the ins and outs of WP interactions. Now that you have an idea of how it works, dive right in and start exploring all the different interactions you can create without using any code.